he feels like he leads the league in quiet pats on the back and sneaky praises from everyone.
I can see that.
Yeah, I that's immediately I thought about that when he said that, and he says he gives flowers to his inspiration, his OGs, and he also mentioned that he loved how Westside Gunn was like, he fools with Tyler the Creator because he gave him his flowers while he's living. You know what I'm saying? And gave him his props and showed him the love. But with him saying the industry's built on, you know, a lot of fake flowers and silent flowers, do you guys agree with that? Because hip hop is competitive. Mm-hmm. So, you know, as an athlete, if you want to put it in an athlete's term, like, yeah, I'll say, okay, yeah, he's nice, but I'm not going to give, you know, the point guard across the city or the point guards in the other city that much peas because I'm competitive. It's like, I see you, but I'm not going to go above or out of my way to give you props. Like, is it being fake, or is there a part of it that's just a lot of rappers are competitive and don't want to give out peas? Like, to me, it could be either or. I don't know what y'all think. Jay Diff, if I come to you first, because there are a lot of fake people out there. We've been through that. But, you know, what do you think? Is that legit?
I can see that. Wale is somebody an artist that's actually very inspirational in a lot of ways too. If you want to be 100 about it, he came out in the mixtape.
We with you. We with you.
Mixtape game era.
Yeah, we with you.
Yeah, you know.
I'm with you.
He was big on the shoe fanatic type of thing, which is, you know, that's crazy right now. He's one of the first rappers that was really all about the shoe game. He rapped about it. He was always in something that somebody wanted.
Yep.
And his flows and rap skill is up to par. But you don't really hear about him being featured on a lot of these other artists' projects, or even mentioned in the same conversations of some of the people that he came up with in that same time period. So I can agree with him in that particular sense, as far as not getting flowers or being kind of the almost like a stepchild. Even when you think about the record label that he's on with MMG, you hear a lot about Meek Mill, but you don't hear anything really about Wale, other than when him and Meek were kind of going back and forth with the disagreement or whatnot. So yeah, I can see that. I agree with him a little bit on that.
Jay Moore, go ahead and jump in, man. What are your thoughts about that? Is that across the board? Is that how it is? Or I'm with y'all on Wale. I think he's 100%.
No, I mean Wale's had just an incredible, you know, his waves have been like, he's had the song, okay, my first Wale look, I mean, of course I knew him from like mixtapes and you know, being on the blog. He is kind of in that mix of where in the blog era too, you know, is this kid from DC doing his thing. And you know, I remember the first piece of vinyl I got on him, and that's how long he's been out. It was like one of the last pieces of vinyl that Scope sent out. It was a song "Chillin' with him and Lady Gaga, and mind you, Lady Gaga was nobody at the time, so that's how long Wale's been out. But you know, he's had that wave, and then you know the No Hands wave, and then you know the kind of like poetry like Dice, you know, Lotus Flower Bomb, you know. And then, like, you know, just in the last couple of years, he had On Chill, which was a #1 record. But, you know, in between.
He gave Tia Thomas a platform.
You know, he's, you know, but then he had White Shoes. And then, like, of all things, like, he's actually, speaking of, like, having somebody on your album, like, he had Seinfeld on his album.
Yeah.
Like, and he didn't take a clip from somewhere. Like, Seinfeld was on his album.
Yeah.
You know, so he's actually, in a way, very decorated. And he has all these things, like bold decisions musically, like having a whole verse and no drums, and still trying to
shows love to go too,
you know, and still put that out as a single. You know, and I just think part of it is because like Wale will have like a spot here where like, oh yeah, we're messing with Wale, and then it's like, okay, over here, and then it's like, okay, we didn't really mess with anything off this album. We knew it was good, but then okay, now he's got a #1 song off of this next project. It's just weird how his success is spread out over when you think about a very prolific as far as output career. So I mean, it's a lot different than, you know, everybody gets excited when Cole hits. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's waiting on when's Kendrick gonna hit, and then like you know we get so much from Drake. You know, as far as always maintaining a radio presence. I just think it's weird because where does Wale really fit in there? And does he get his props from people who know, but from the industry as a whole, probably not. But that happens to a lot of people just because of what we're all about the right now. Yeah. What have you done for us lately? And even
he is very consistent as far as being able to.
But at the same time, on the radio, he gave us On Chill, which was a hit on mainstream urban pop. And they even started playing that on Urban AC, which they're opening up their doors to newer hip hop records, which was a fight for a long time. But
Matrimony was a big hit.
Yeah. But it's just like I said, like now with people putting out music, 2 and 3 times, they're always trying to got to have this for the club, got to have this for the radio. Like Wale puts out the music he wants to put out, and he doesn't have. I don't think he has the stands like Cole has his stands, Drake has his stands, Kendrick has his stands. Where are the Wale stands?
Wale has a he has a following, but it's not the groundswell of the guys that you talking about.
They're not going to get on and just be like, oh, yeah, he don't have a hive like that.
He's not boisterous, and that's not to say that these other artists are boisterous, but it's just that Wale is kind of the equivalent of the cat that drops some stuff and just sits back and let it happen and is not out there trying to force feed you, so to speak.
Yeah. What do you think, Lone, about what Wale said as it relates to, him or just the industry in general?
A few things.
All right.
Just off the top, I think Wale's talented, but I am one of those people that personally I've never gotten into Wale. I've heard his stuff and I thought he was a good rapper. I thought he's made good songs, but he's never anybody that I go to like listen to. And I don't know if he misses whatever type of fan of hip hop I am. I don't know if he just misses me.
Could be.
Like it just goes past me. I'm not sure. But with that being said, I do feel like I don't know if slighted is the right word, but it does. I get the overall feel. Way, right? I get the overall feel that he does get overlooked a lot.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put him in the same category as everybody else just based upon my own personal preferences, but I don't want to take away from how talented he is. I never go out of my way to listen to Wale, but if Cole drops him, like all these other guys that he always gets compared to, I'm always going to go listen to the other person first.
Yep.
And so, and maybe it's because he's more experimental with this stuff, or maybe it's because I've never connected with him musically or something. I don't know what it is. I've never had that connection with him musically.
You're not the only one now. I've had this conversation multiple times with multiple people.
Yeah. But to the flowers portion of it, I feel like the flowers, I do agree with him because I do feel that he has a ton of accomplishments and I feel like he deserves to be mentioned in a lot of this stuff. But he also comes across a lot of times as I hear him saying this.
Yes.
And he's like, it's obviously agitating him. It's obviously bothering him. But as somebody who is just a casual Wale fan, I want him to do well. I want to hear dope Wale music, but I don't, I hear that just as much as his music. And
that's one of the negatives for him though, because
I'll tell you what the problem is. I think.
Go ahead.
He hasn't had his magnum opus moment since the mixtape era. So when you talk about him, since when we're talking about Seinfeld being featured on a project, that was because he dropped that mixtape.
Mixtape about nothing.
Mixtape about nothing,
which was fire,
super fire. But that's mixtape era.
Yeah.
So that was real dope. He has not had a release that came out where it was like up to par as far as a caliber artist that he was coming up around. Where J. Cole's had that, Kendrick's had that, even Mac Miller. I mean, they're all in the same kind of era.
Crit,
and Wiz Khalifa. They've all had their moments where they shined outside of that mixtape.
Has Wiz though?
Yes.
Oh yeah, with when he dropped
Black and Yellow.
That was
mixtape era though, wasn't it?
I mean,
But it was on-
at the tail end of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so-
it was on a big release.
Okay.
And then which
That record
landed
was
him
huge.
on.
Well, I always correlated that with mixtape era, so that's why I was.
no, that wasn't like Cushion Orange Juice.
No,
There
it
we
was
go.
after that, but it was obviously a huge
Yeah.
hit. So
Yeah.
It's a huge hit. Wale hasn't had that hit that was just like crossed over like that. Like I know you
Undeniable.
mentioned that it kind of crossed over a little bit, dabbled into the pop, but he hasn't had a whole project,
Yeah.
where somebody could just sit back and say, "Man, that was fire." Even when he had Seinfeld on his album, that was his time to capitalize.
Yeah.
That would have pulled people from every.
Yeah.
nook
I would have
and
milked
cranny.
that mug.
He had an intro like on the song from Seinfeld
Mhm.
with Usher on the hook.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? They put that song out. It just didn't connect. I love that record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
he
mean,
has
to get
fire
signed-
singles.
It's a great record. I'm mad I can't remember the exact name of
Wale,
it.
every project that he's put out, he's had a single that's made the top 100
Yeah.
at least, or even top 10 on the radio and Billboard or whatnot. But he has not been mentioned in any award shows, which I mean we don't care about.
Yeah.
But the status quo does.
Right.
If they're not seeing you or being mentioned, so it doesn't even have to necessarily be a snub from hip hop. It can be a snub from music in general.
right.
It's because everybody hasn't heard, or you haven't been on enough people's ears in order for them to get comfortable and familiar with you.
Yeah.
And looking at his career, as we talked about career, 11 mixtapes, 7 studio albums, and his first mixtape, I believe, if I'm looking at this correctly, came out in 2005.
Mhm.
Paint a picture.
And then Attention Deficit, which was his first release,
Yeah.
which was the one that had the cover of the TVs and stuff on it. It didn't smack people in the face like that.
Yeah.
Like when you think of Drake's first release,
Couldn't get away from it.
you couldn't get away from that joint. Even Kendrick, Good Kid, Mad City.
Yeah.
Right.
Even J. Cole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I said, like I want. It's one of those weird things because I want to like Wale,
Yeah.
but I don't. There's not a lot of music for me to pull. I couldn't tell you a Wale
He's
song
big in
outside.
the DMV. I'll tell you that.
I believe it.
I mean, he
believe
should
it.
be.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah, but I
Better
mean,
be-
outside of
better
the
be
joint,
big where you from?
Yeah.
outside of the joint he did with 𝗏𝗏 I couldn't tell you a Wale joint.
And 𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏 she's getting songwriter credits all over the place now.
Yep. He got a Grammy.
Yeah.
But back to the other point is he was talking about the flowers, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting because I feel like we try to intentionally give people flowers now, but it's not something that really comes natural a lot of times in hip hop, it seems. It's just not a natural thing to be like,
Oh yeah, my man is dope.
I feel like a lot of times it's not necessarily that it seems forced. It's always that it's like you have to like intentionally do it. And so I don't know. I think Wale deserves his flowers from the people that enjoy him in that manner. But like, I probably wouldn't give him flowers because
It just hasn't impacted
he
you
hasn't
like that.
impacted me like that,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah.
know, but maybe you guys have.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe he feels that his impact is bigger than it is, or
He's
something.
not whack. It's weird because like so like saying artists that we've given flowers to, like a Sky Zoo.
Yeah.
So he's in that limbo area between like a Sky Zoo and his peers he came out with, who we just mentioned.
Yeah.
So he's stuck in between a situation to where he should be noticed because of who he came up with.
Yep.
But he's not. Whereas Sky Zoo is more of an artist. He's just overall dope. And he doesn't have the eyes on him because he never kind of climbed up from that backpack true hip hop head era.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Wale is teetering in between there still.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think that's what his problem is with it.
Maybe I'm just like way out. Maybe I just need to listen to it more. But I've never heard a Wale joint that has wowed me either. I've never been like, oh wow, this is really really good.
I think if
But like Sky Zoo, I've heard of plenty of crazy lyricism moments.
But we're heads,
you know.
Mhm.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
we are,
That's, you
we
know,
are. Yeah.
But I've heard that stuff from Cole. I've heard that stuff
Yeah.
from Crit. I've heard that
Kendrick.
I've heard that stuff from Kendrick. I've heard that stuff from even Mac Miller,
Yeah.
And again, it's probably just realistically, it's probably just the fact that I didn't try to spend more time on it because I just expected him to hit me with something.
I mean, I mean, you know, there's artists I've missed on, like that I felt the way Lone feels as it relates to Wale now. And then there's some times where I've had to go back and, you know, and come back to the table and be like, well, maybe it was some heat here that I overlooked.
I remember the Seinfeld album. I remember playing that.
Yeah, and I mean those
right.
those mixtapes to me were phenomenal when he did About Nothing. Like those were.
Wale was already kind of big mixtape wise by the time
he's had an incredible run, man. I think he definitely deserves his flowers, and I could see where he's coming from. You know, with him with the silent praises and all that. Like, I do not think this is hyperbole. He's not exaggerating. I think he's on the money with what he said. So,
what more do you think he deserves?
I think he deserves more credit for his ability to write songs, pick beats, and craft albums. I think he's better at that than people give him credit for. In my personal opinion.
He also hasn't taken upon himself to put people on from his area or people that he jives with either, or these other artists have done that. So that may be an issue as well.
Because I got plenty of homies that probably in the chat now, Nate Jeezy, Corey T, like they'll tell you everybody is not in love with Wale in the DMV. You know what I'm saying? Like they've told me that personally. So it's not like you got to hate. Yeah.
Like I mean, there are a few.
He didn't do a song. I mean, like, because there are people who don't mess with Nelly in St. Louis because they feel like he should have done more for them personally.
I could see that. I could see that.
There are also artists here in Indianapolis that have gained a reasonable amount of success that did not come up through the local scene and just kind of bypassed completely. And those people kind of get
it happens
frowned at.
Yeah.
So it's I get it. You know. I guess I understand. So maybe Wale's one of them. I don't know.
It could be, man. But I don't
mess with y'all, but I'll claim you.
Yeah.
I'm overall a fan, and
I don't want to say that that's what he is. But
no, I understand where you're coming from, but yeah, I'm a fan.
But it happens that way. You'd be like, wait a minute, how you get on?
I just skip all the steps,
and nobody knows you at home.
Seems a bit odd.
Yeah, don't be skipping the steps.
He definitely reps his area to the fullest. I give him that.
He always keep a good
but there's like repping your area and actually being in your area and being like a part of
your area.
Well, I can attest to. I went to a restaurant. I'm not going to shout it out because I can't do that.
Yeah,
I went to a restaurant in a DMV area and they actually had a meal named after Wale.
That's dope.
So
sounds like flowers to me.
Yeah, that sounds like. Would you say Long? He got some flowers there, huh?
Can I get a pizza slice?
Don't do that.
If you've enjoyed this segment of the New Old Heads podcast, make sure you join our live show every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/newoldheads. You can also catch playback of all of our shows on any podcast app and youtube.com/newoldheadsnetwork. And go to newoldheads.com/community to join our Discord.